10 bone-chilling true Appalachian cemetery horror stories you've never heard at MA in the dead of night. When shadows danced and the wind howled like a pack of wolves, a darkness lay thick over the Appalachian hills. Every twist in the path led to old graveyards, their stones crumbling under the weight of years, but the stories they held were far from buried. Graveyards that seemed alive with whispers. Seconds turned to minutes, yet one could feel the pulse of the forgotten. Curiosity piqued. Terror wrapped itself tightly around the heart. Mysterious lights flickering above the stones, glowing like the eyes of a beast, searching, waiting. Just last fall, locals whispered of a ghostly figure dressed in white, roaming near the Maplewood Cemetery. On moonless nights, she would appear, her translucent form floating just above the ground, beckoning for someone or something. Witnesses claimed she sighed softly, a sound full of sorrow that could chill even the bravest. Their faces twisted into fearful wonder as they recounted the hairs standing on the back of their necks, heavy like the unseen weight of 1,000 eyes watching from the graves. What did she want? Who did she search for? Days later, cattle turned up with strange marks on their hides, signs of something otherworldly that had taken an interest in more than just the dead. But that was just one tale. As the clock ticked towards the witching hour, stories spilled forth like the overflow of a river, each one darker and stranger than the last. A woman stumbled upon a forgotten gravesite and, as she brushed away the leaves, uncovered a tarnished locket still clasped in the skeletal fingers of a long-dead bride. In that moment, a ghastly scream erupted from the fog, sowing panic through her chest, tightening her throat. Her friends tried to dismiss it as an animal, but even the bravest among them couldn't look into the abyss without fear. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. But back to the darkness. Another tale weaves through the old towns, one that speaks of a curse on Montgomery Hollow. Legend has it that the spirits stilled by age could not find peace. Instead, they stirred restlessly, weaving in and out of dreams. One moonlit night, a group of friends gathered around a fire, eager to connect with a spirit rumored to linger close. As they chanted the old incantation, the flames flickered violently, casting shadows that twisted and turned, hounding their sanity. Suddenly, they felt a frigid gust whirl around them, stealing their breath and freezing their hearts. An eerie wail rose up through the trees, making their blood run cold. What did they invoke? What ancient wrath had they stirred? As the night unraveled, they realized they were not alone. Eyes glimmered from the darkness. The unknown hung heavily around them, and with every shiver, every terrified glance, the questions spiraled. What if tomorrow brought more? What if these spirits weren't just echoes of the past, but were angry and waiting? The tension built as the very stones of the graveyard seemed to shift, whispering secrets that begged to be heard, but at what cost? And here we are, standing on the edge of the abyss, wondering what lies beyond the veil. What further horrors lurk in the shadows of Appalachian cemeteries, waiting for the curious, the brave, or the foolish to uncover them? What will happen next? The wind howled, rattling the branches of the ancient oak trees, their gnarled limbs reaching out like skeletal fingers into the abyss. The friends, huddled tight around the fire, felt an uneasy chill snaking its way down their spines as their hearts raced. They had stirred something restless. An invisible weight pressed against them, thick and suffocating that a piercing cry echoed from the depths of Montgomery Hollow, a sound neither of this world nor the next. The flickering flames cast wild shadows that danced eerily across their faces, illuminating their expressions of sheer terror. What was that? Jessie gasped, clutching her friend's arm tightly, her eyes wide with horror. I don't know, said Mark, swallowing hard as he gazed into the surrounding darkness. The air felt electric, charged with an unspoken dread. The wind dropped suddenly, an unnatural silence descending over the group. They looked at one another, searching for reassurance, but found only their own reflected panic in the other's eyes. Then came the rustling of light, deliberate sound creeping through the underbrush. A figure emerged, blurred at first, but soon enough materializing into a woman clad in white, just as the stories had described. Her hair flowed like wisps of smoke, her face hidden in shadow, and her eyes shimmered like distant stars, beckoning them closer. "What do you want?" Anna's voice trembled, fear prickling at her throat. The wild beauty of the apparition contrasted harshly against the chilling feeling that enveloped them. The figure didn't answer, but raised a hand, pointing to the graveyard nearby, where the moonlight barely touched the headstones buried in the dense brush. Suddenly, a realization washed over them. There was a grave untouched, a name once whispered only in secret. "That grave, it's the one they talked about in town. The one that was never marked," Mark uttered, voice barely above a whisper. Sarah Hargrove whispers filled the air around them, echoing the name, overlapping each other in sorrowful tones. Find me, they felt a chill run through them. Each shiver cut deeper as the spectral figure seemed to sway hypnotically, urging them to follow. "What if she's angry?" Jessie said, terror tightening the grip on her heart. "What if we wake up?" Fear clawed at her throat as she realized that they might have trespassed too far into a realm where no living soul should wander. Before anyone could respond, the ground trembled beneath them. An ancient tree, towering and formidable, crashed down, missing them by mere inches. A cacophony of whispers crescendoed around them, rising to a fever pitch as if the very spirits of the cemetery were trying to warn them. "Run!" Mark shouted, his voice slicing through the chaos. They bolted from the fire, the spectral figure still lurking just beyond the glow. But the more they ran, the more the darkness pressed in, absorbing their screams and shrouding them in despair. Each step felt like moving through thick mud, a grasping force pulling them back. Suddenly, they were separated. Screams echoed in the night, distorted and twisting under the weight of despair. Each terrified face mirrored the confusion and panic in the others. Anna spun around, searching frantically for her friends. The night was alive with howls, "Stay with us." But the cries blurred into an incomprehensible sound. Amidst the chaos, the fire sputtered out, leaving only the ghostly fires of the past flickering before them, light against an encroaching darkness that threatened to swallow them whole. What had they unleashed? What unholy connection were they forging by seeking answers from the dead? The path ahead twisted into a maze of shadows, sinuous and inviting, as the specter beckoned once more from the edge of the graveyard, her eyes glinting with unearthly hunger. This was no ordinary haunting. It was an awakening. But of whom? And what price would they pay for seeking the truth hidden in the whispering woods? In their search, they might lose more than their way. They might lose everything. The shadows coated the ground in a suffocating blanket, and Anna's heart was pounding in her chest, each beat echoing the terror that surged through the air. She blinked, trying to push back the encroaching darkness, but it felt alive, wrapping around her like cold fingers gripping her throat. "Mark! Jessie!" she yelled, her voice cracking under the weight of fear. The echo of her words faded into the night, swallowed by the forest's hungry silence. Panic clawed at her insides, and she spun in circles, searching for any trace of her friends. The wild moans of the wind sounded like distant wails, taunting her fragile state of mind. Somewhere to her left, she heard the unmistakable sound of footfalls, no, not footsteps, but something slithering through the brush. The sensation of being watched prickled her skin. A chill crept through her, and with it came a whisper, haunting and lonesome, drifting past her ear. "Find me, is someone there?" Anna called, but the only response was a deepening stillness that seemed to swallow the world whole. Just then, the spectral figure reappeared, blinking into existence from the twisted darkness. Her white dress fluttered like a ghostly flame, remnants of the fire casting strange outlines against the pale light of the moon. Anna's breath hitched in her throat. "You," she gasped, the woman's presence both mesmerizing and terrifying. The ghostly apparition reached out. "Find me," she urged again, but this time the command held a desperate weight, as if she were tugging on something buried deep within Anna's own heart. Behind Anna, a rustling sound grew more frantic, as if something or someone was breaking free from the forest's grasp. Her gaze darted back and forth, the weight of indecision bearing heavily upon her. What do you want? Your friendship saved me once, the specter murmured, her voice keeping a soft melody amidst the haunting surroundings. But you are too late, cries erupted in the distance, dragging Anna's attention away. It was Jessie. Anna, please. I can't find Mark. There was a desperation in her voice that sent a jolt through Anna. No. Anna yelled back, forcing energy into her voice. Wait, I'll find you. But panic seized her. What if she was leading them to their doom? Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the silence, branches snapping. The ground shook again, stronger this time, as if the very earth beneath them was alive with fury. Anna felt it in her bones. Without thinking, she sprinted towards Jessie's voice, dodging gnarled roots and dying branches. Keep talking, Anna shouted, chasing the sound of her friend. Anna, I don't know what is happening, Jessie wailed, her tone slipping toward terror. Just hold on. Each word pulled Anna deeper into the gloom. She raced toward the source, desperation fueling her legs. But with each step, she felt a presence shadowing her, something just beyond sight, sliding through the darkness, hungry for her attention. Finally, she broke through the dense brush and stumbled into a small clearing, gasping as she realized she was alone. The moonlight spilled down, illuminating jagged stones poking up from the ground. But where was Jessie? Where was Mark? Jessie, she cried out, but her voice shattered into the stillness like glass. The air quivered with a thick, anxious energy. And then, in the blink of an eye, a figure emerged, the ghostly woman, closer now, eyes burning with longing, her hands reaching toward Anna's heart as if she were trying to pull out something long forgotten. Come, the ghost murmured with a voice that both soothed and chilled, to where the shadows fall thickest. Join me. Anna's breath caught. A part of her felt enthralled, another screamed for escape. What was this creature? Who had she been before? The ghost's face twisted, and in that moment, Anna knew. This wasn't just about Sarah Hargrove. It was about something far more sinister. Anna. Jessie's voice dashed through the treetops, sheer panic shaking the air again. Help me. Anna screamed as reality shattered, a vision of bones weaving through her mind, each one a promise and oath that ties them eternally. But Anna was in deep. She had to get Jessie away before the shadows swallowed them all. She'd come so close to uncovering the truth. What awaited her friend? What hidden secrets lurked behind those haunted whispers of the woods? Her heart raced, caught in a storm of choices and revelations. Anna turned back toward the ghost one last time. Should she confront this darkness or flee? But as that question filled her mind, the ground trembled beneath her again, and the truth slipped through her fingers like sand. Find me, the woman echoed once more, but the urgency of Anna's own heart drowned it all out, urging her to leap into the unknown to discover where the darkness truly led. The choice loomed ahead, trembling in the air, as uncertainty gripped her. Could she confront it? What if she faced the truth and the cost that came with it? The forest vibrated with an unholy rhythm. Anna stood at the edge, uncertain, ready to dive into the depths of Montgomery Hollow, where secrets tangled with her fate. What awaited her beyond the veil? And would she dare to uncover it before it was too late? The shadows twisted and shook, each flicker of moonlight a fleeting promise of clarity, yet nothing felt further from the truth. Anna's pulse thundered in her ears as she stood on the brink of that ominous clearing, the tension an invisible mist thickening around her. The ghostly figure loomed, fingers stretching toward her, fingers that seemed to call her name, pulling her into the abyss. Anna, the voice swelled, becoming a crescendo of desperation, the darkness hanging thick as molasses, resisting any form of escape. She took a step back, her heart racing. The chill of the air felt like icy water seeping into her bones. A glance to her left, the shivering shadows morphed and danced around gnarled trees like lost souls. She could almost hear the branches whispering warnings, but the urgent plea of Jessie's voice cut through the haze like a jagged knife. Anna, please. I need you. It felt as if Jessie's cries were an anchor pulling her from the depths. No. Anna shouted into the void, her breath escaping in shaky gasps. Jessie. But her friend's voice was fading, swallowed whole by the forest's greed. Where are you? The ghost twisted her form, her face, an echo of sorrow and longing, painted in despair. You think you can avoid your fate? You must choose enough. Anna shouted, a sudden surge of defiance igniting her veins. I won't let you take me. And with that, she turned on her heel and dashed back into the forest, heart hammering in her chest. Branches clawed at her skin, the shadows lunged, but she pushed forward, driven by an instinct deeper than fear. The rustling in the underbrush grew louder behind her, a snarl of pursuit, and the sense of being hunted crawled under her skin. Anna. Jessie's voice pierced the gloom again, a faint glint of hope amid the darkness. Anna forced herself to focus, racing toward the sound. Where are you? Right here, she screamed. Keep talking. But her friend was silent, and dread pooled in Anna's stomach as she sprinted. The air thickened around her, and the world narrowed down to a single, desperate need. Find Jessie, bring her back. The thought of abandoning her was unbearable. Suddenly, as if she had breached some invisible barrier, she stumbled into another clearing. This time the air was heavier, tainted with decay. The earth felt alive, thrumming beneath her feet. What was happening? Then she saw them faint, flickering shapes against the backdrop of midnight. Shadowy silhouettes bound in chains, anchored to the ground, twisting and writhing in torment. Her breath caught. No, this can't be real. But the echoes of their cries rang out in a haunting chorus, an agonizing symphony of forgotten souls dancing on the cusp of despair. Help us. Release us. Anna's legs went weak. Was this a vision? A nightmare? But there was Jessie's voice again, faint yet persistent, pushing against the shadows that threatened to breach her sanity. Anna, I'm here. You're almost here. Desperation propelled her forward, the ground beneath her trembling as if responding to her urgency. Hold on. I'm coming. As Anna broke through the living darkness and into the next space, her heart sank. A crumbling stone monument loomed ahead, inscribed with names long forsaken. It stood as a reminder of all that lay buried in this accursed land. Would she find Jessie here? Or was this where they would be lost, another pair of names etched into the tombs of Montgomery Hollow? Stay right there. Anna hollered, eyes darting, scanning for her friend. But as she moved closer, the shadows darted, intertwining with her memories of vivid recollection of laughter, friendship, and the haunting warning that lingered in the air. Join me, the ghostly figure echoed in her mind, the pull growing stronger, blurring the line between protection and peril. Then, from within the shadows behind the stones, figures began to materialize. Mark, his face pale, eyes wide with fear. Anna run. But it was too late. The ground quaked beneath them, and Anna's heart screamed as she felt the shadows clawing at her, desperate, insatiable. Then, out of the cold chaos, Jessie emerged, eyes filled with tears and terror. Anna, help us. With that plea hanging in the air, the ground screamed and trembled as dark forces unleashed around them, plunging their fates into an uncharted abyss. What would they choose? To confront the darkness or become echoes among the forsaken? The question hung heavier than the breath in her lungs, confidence dwindling with each heartbeat. Could Anna find the courage to face the truth? Or would they be drawn into the void forever? The moment Anna touched the stone monument, a jolt of energy coursed through her, vicious and fiery. An overwhelming dread washed over her. The faces around her twisted in agony, their mouths open but silent, the air thick with despair. The sharp clang of chains echoed, enveloping her mind in a cacophony that felt almost alive, stretching and pulling at her sanity. Stop. Just stop, she screamed, the words escaping in a desperate gasp as she shielded her eyes against the frenzy. Jessie stood frozen beside Mark, their eyes pleading for help, but Anna felt herself slipping away into the chaos. Shadows surged, crawling up around her legs, clutching like the arms of long-lost friends turned foes. Help us, cried Jessie again, breaking through the confusion, and Anna edged closer, drawn to her friend's voice like a moth to a flame. The shadows pulsed, mimicking her heartbeat, but she fought against their relentless tug, clawing at her resolve. Why are you trapped? Anna shouted, desperation tainting her voice. The once glimmering silhouettes seemed to freeze in place, their despair audible in the heavy silence that followed. What do you want from us? Suddenly, the wails morphed into a singular voice, haunting and beautiful, yet so sorrowful. To be remembered, to be freed, to be seen. It echoed, vibrating through the clearing, intertwining with her very soul. Anna felt the weight of their stories pressing against her chest, a cascade of sorrow that begged to be acknowledged. "No, I won't become like you," Anna shouted defiantly. She turned her head, eyes darting, finding Mark's gaze filled with terror and an unexpected flicker of purpose. "We can help you," he said, firm despite the quivers within his voice. "Tell us how." But the shadows surged forward, swirling around them in a storm of whispers, a tempest of heartache. "Join us. You will be one with us, forever." They beckoned, fingers stretching from the gloom like vines seeking the light. Anna shook her head furiously. Jessie's hand reached out, desperation woven into her expression. "Anna, we have to break the chains. We need to find their names and remember them. It's the only way." Anna's heart raced. Could remembering be their salvation? Could it restore those lost to the greed of this cursed place? Mark's voice broke the trance again. "Focus, Anna. We can't let them pull us in." He stepped toward the monument, brushing away the creeping shadows that threatened to engulf them. Anna began, eyes locked on her friend. As if sensing the urgency, Jessie nodded, determination breaking through her tears. "Help us remember." "We'll remember you," Jessie cried, her voice ringing through the quagmire of despair. As if compelled by their words, the ground beneath them trembled, and the stone monument trembled in response. Names began flickering into view, one by one, the letters shimmering with a dim glow against the dark. "See, we won't forget you," Anna shouted, her voice slicing through the darkness. "Tell us your stories, your names, your hopes." But before another syllable could escape, the shadows shrieked. The chains rattled violently, a sound that seemed to shake the very fabric of the earth. The faces of the lost twisted, contorted in rage anger that twisted through the fog like a terrible breath from a deeper darkness. Then, out of the chaos, the shadows pulled back, a wave of darkness rippling like water receding from the shore. For a moment, Anna could breathe again. The monument glowed brighter, illuminating the way forward but casting the shadows into even sharper stipples of fear. "Too late. You cannot escape your fate." The ghostly voice resonated once more, darker than before, echoing like a final warning. And as the shadows shifted violently in anticipation, the ground opened beneath them, a chasm looming. The final decision lay ahead. What would be their legacy? Would they stand strong or be consumed by the darkness clinging to their heels? In that moment, the unthinkable thought struck Anna. What if the true horror lay not in the shadows, but in the choices they made? With the chasm gaping wide, Anna's heart raced as she whispered the question lingering in the air. Will we remember, or will we be forgotten? But with the ground trembling beneath them, a sinister laugh erupted from the depths. The truth would soon be revealed. The chasm loomed like a gaping maw, ready to swallow them whole. Tears streamed down Jessie's face, catching the faint glow from the monument. Every instinct in Anna screamed to run, but something deeper tethered her to the ground. Would they become just another flickering name, swallowed by the shadows forever? "Stay together," Mark yelled, his voice slicing through the suffocating tension. His presence steadied Anna, grounding her in this chaos. She felt the unity between them, a bond forged in urgency. But would it be enough? Above them, the sky darkened, thick clouds rolling in like a funeral shroud. It felt as if the world held its breath, waiting for their next move. The ground vibrated beneath them. It was a heartbeat, raw and untamed, echoing the pulse of souls lost long ago. Each beat resonated with an urgency that threatened to break free. "Anna, we need to focus," Jessie urged, stepping closer. "The names, the stories. They're keys, Anna. We have to remember them." But as she spoke, shadows coalesced, the anguished faces rising closer, their hollow eyes boring into Anna's soul. "You think you can preserve us? You cannot even save yourselves," a ghostly silhouette shrieked. The words echoed louder, layering over one another until they formed a terrifying melody of despair. Anna squeezed her eyes shut, blocking the sight of tormented figures. All that despair was at what awaited them if they failed. The weight of countless regrets pressed against her, and panic clawed at her throat. "No, we won't let that happen." "Anna," Mark shouted, pulling her back to the present. "Concentrate. Touch the monument. It glows for a reason." With a deep breath, Anna lifted her hand, hesitating for just a moment before her fingertips connected with the cold stone. It pulsed beneath her touch, a shocking surge that went deeper than the skin, igniting memories in her mind. Flickers of lives once lived surged through her like a storm. Laughter, tears, love, loss, each flicker felt like a name, desperate to escape the depths of time. Acacia, December, Isaac, Anna muttered, names spilling forth, each carrying echoes of their stories. Jesse joined, the rhythm building around them. Margaret, Samuel, Fiona. The monument responded, the stone humming, resonating with their voices until the air crackled with an electric charge. The shadows hesitated, their cries faltering, vines of darkness pulling back momentarily as though they feared exposure to the light. But the moment didn't last. It was as though they had woken something far more sinister, a vengeful force. The ground trembled violently, and the shadows bellowed with fury. Fools! You think remembering can free us? Feel our fury. The edges of the chasm widened, threatening to pull them into the abyss. Anna gasped as a ghostly wind swirled around them, raking at their skin like icy fingers. It was heavy with a scent as old as decay, the stench of hopelessness and buried secrets. Hold on, Mark yelled, gripping Anna's shoulder. His face was fierce, determination igniting something within her. They were not alone. We're almost there. Just one more name. Anna forced herself to breathe through the dread. Come on. What was the last name? She whispered urgently to herself. The shadows screamed desperately, rallying against her as her mind raced through images of ages past. A small flicker of a haunting figure surfaced, brilliant and awful. Lily, she finally shouted. With the name leaving her lips, a crescendo erupted. The atmosphere shattered, and the names began to glow fiercely, forming a radiant shield against the darkness. But it wasn't over. With a roar of fury, the shadows lunged, merging into one entity bridging the chasm. A body of twisted faces groped toward them as if to silence their chant forever. Remember us, Jesse screamed, bravely meeting the chaos. Anna felt their energy surge, flowing through her veins like fire. It was a choice laid bare. Enter the void or hold on to the light. Would courage be enough to shatter the impending doom? As the darkness screamed louder, encroaching on all sides, Anna knew. The time had come. Fight back, she echoed, but would their memories be strong enough to harness the chaos around them? With heart pounding and terror clawing at her throat, Anna braced herself for the confrontation, standing at the edge of the abyss. Was the price of remembering worth losing herself entirely? The shadows contorted, and in that moment, the true nature of fate hung in the balance. Would the next chapter bring salvation or destruction? The air crackled with raw energy, coiling around Anna like invisible tendrils of dread. The world blurred as the shadows pressed in, their desperate wails drowning out her heartbeat. Hold on, Mark shouted again, his grip tightening on Anna's shoulder. Fear shone bright in his eyes. She could barely hear him over the cacophony of the dead, but their urgency seeped into her bones. This was a moment of reckoning. Remember us, Jesse echoed, thick with conviction. But doubt pulsed through Anna's mind. Was there unity enough against this relentless tide of darkness? Would the stories they chanted shield them from what lay ahead, or would it merely anger the specters that spiraled towards them? Anna's voice cut through the haze again, leading with vulnerability. You wanted to be remembered. You wanted your stories told. A wave of warmth surged as she invoked their loss, igniting a fire within her. It felt as if she called forth the very essence of those lost souls. The monument throbbed beneath her palm, absorbing every ounce of their memories. It responded, radiating a light fiercely bright, slicing through the shadows that threatened to engulf them. But the titanic shadows only grew in strength, howling like a storm as they shifted, twisting into grotesque forms. The faces, once hauntingly familiar, transformed into horrific masks of rage. Suddenly, Jessie collapsed to her knees, drawing gasps from both Mark and Anna. I can't hold it, she said between breaths, trembling. Panic surged through Anna like wildfire. Jessie was the heart of their chant, and without her, they risked losing everything. Jessie, stay with us. Mark's voice deepened with fear. I'll try, but it's too much. Jessie's face twisted as shadows clawed at her, seeking to pull her into the abyss. The bond that had held them tightly began to fray. Anna felt it, an energy once filled with hope and conviction waning rapidly. No, we can't give in. Her voice rose over the screams of the restless spirits, a desperate attempt to rally her friends. Summoning every ounce of strength, Anna stepped closer to Jesse. Think of the names. Acacia, December, Isaac, Lily. They need us. A moment of silence fell as Jessie stared wide-eyed, searching for whatever clarity she could summon. With a fierce, determined nod, Jessie lifted herself up, energy returning to her eyes. The trio formed a circle, hands joined tightly. Together, they shouted the names with renewed vigor. Acacia, December, Isaac, Lily. The world trembled beneath them, the colors of the monument piercing through the encroaching darkness like shards of glass. Each name spun like a constellation igniting the night sky. And in that ephemeral illumination, Anna saw fleeting glimpses, faces of the lost rising, reaching out, desperately clinging to their final chance at remembrance. But the shadows raged against them, a swirling tempest of anguish and fury. You dare defy us? A guttural voice echoed from the center of the dark mass, pulling their focus to its source. Your light cannot hold us. We are countless, we were erased. A pulse of icy wind ripped through the air, threatening to snuff out the light they fought so hard to maintain. It caught in Anna's throat, the very essence of despair clawing at her heart. She felt the fear seep through her veins, each pulse echoing in time with the heartbeat of the chasm. Just then, a surge of determination rose within her. It's not just about them. It's about everyone who came before, those who deserve to be remembered. Together, Anna shouted. Together, we fight. The light surged once more as they each poured every ounce of willpower into their chant. Would the shifting shadow be able to withstand the weight of their memories? As the shadows lunged, snapping like fierce jaws inching closer, Anna felt the monument vibrate with a new urgency. It glowed brighter, but was it enough to repel the voracious darkness? With a thunderous roar, the chasm threatened to swallow them faster than they could resist. Anna, what do we do? Mark called out, desperation flooding his voice. If we're to survive, we need to awaken the souls at the heart of this darkness. We have to offer them life again. But was the cost too high? The very shadows they fought against pulsated, revealing the true nature of their collective pain. Memories washed over Anna, scenes of lives lost playing like a broken record on repeat. Would their act of revenge consume them in the end, just as it had consumed the souls that haunted this chasm? What if it wasn't just about remembering? What if forgetting was the only way out? As Anna stared into the abyss swirling before them, it gnawed at her. Uncertainty seeped into the cracks of her resolve. Fight or forget, she whispered, her heart racing in the cacophony of chaos. The choice loomed heavy. Would they face the darkness together or draw back from the brink, surrendering the memories to the void? In that breathless moment, hope and despair hung in the balance, their fate sealed in uncertainty. And with the shadows clawing deeper, pulling her into their depths, Anna felt time snap. Would they emerge as legends, or just whispers forgotten in the darkness? Now, Jessie gasped, pulling Anna back from the precipice of her thoughts. Her expression was fierce yet fragile, straining against the darkness that threatened to swallow everything. Anna felt the weight of the moment press down hard on her shoulders. It was as if they stood at the edge of a cliff, the ground beneath them crumbling with each heartbeat. The shadows writhed and twisted, mocking them, feeding off their fear. It was time to decide. Hold on tight. We can do this, Anna shouted, and her voice rang out like a beacon amidst the chaos. She knew they couldn't let go now. The monument pulsed brighter, summoning the energy of those around them. The stories they had invoked were more than just names. They were lifelines anchoring them in a sea of despair. More than anything, Anna wanted to believe in that light, to trust in their connection to the lost souls. But as she focused on the faces swirling within the darkness, twisted and vengeful fear grappled with hope in her chest. Were they merely puppets, echoes of lives long forgotten? Or were they powerful enough to help extinguish the rage that fed the shadows? Acacia, December, Mark's voice trembled but was steady, a reminder of their unity. Isaac, Lily, each name tumbled from his lips, mingling with Jessie's whispers. Their chant enveloped Anna, creating a cocoon of strength. The shadows recoiled slightly, and for a breath, the light pushed against the darkness. It was nothing more than an inkling of hope, but it was enough to fuel their spirits. Then suddenly, the ground beneath them buckled. The monument shook violently, illuminating the shadows that howled in anger. Anna staggered, her resolve faltering. "Jesse," Anna began, panic flaring, but Jesse's eyes sparked with an intensity Anna had never seen before. "Don't stop. We're so close." Jesse's words poured out with urgency, as if they were the very life force that ignited the light. But the shadows surged again, and with them, Anna heard something more, a whisper, one that chilled her to her core. "You think you can erase us? You're nothing but memories fading fast." Anna felt her heart thrumming in response, uncertainty clawing at her mind. "What do we do? How do we bring them back?" She shouted over the shrieks of lost souls. "Remember the pain," Jessie shouted, her voice breaking. "Not just ours, but theirs. We need to connect to that suffering, but also to the love they held. It's the only way." Anna struggled to comprehend the weight of what Jessie was proposing. It made sense, but it also terrified her. To face the darkness was one thing, but to acknowledge the suffering that lay within it, were they truly ready for that? Murmurs trickled through the shadows, and from the depths, a silhouette began to emerge, coalescing from the blackness like smoke. "Do you think we care about your love?" It sneered, the voice echoing with bitterness. "You're here for your own selfishness. Stop it." Anna screamed, fury boiling in her veins. "We're here because we remember. We want you to have peace. We want you to be seen." The figure hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty crossing its ghastly visage. In that moment of vulnerability, Anna stumbled forward, driven by a desperation she couldn't quite grasp. "What if I tell your story?" she cried, hope battling with doubt. "What if you could finally be remembered, truly remembered?" The shadows hesitated, a quivering wave of energy swirling around her. Anna felt it push against her, testing her resolve. Would her plea grant her the strength to battle this storm? Or would it merely provoke an even darker response? With every ounce of courage, she whispered, "I'll carry your pain and your love. I want to forget, but you have to let go. You have to help us bring you back into the light." A deep rumble echoed from the abyss, the ground shaking more violently as the shadowy figure pointed directly at her. "And if we don't want to be saved?" Anna's heart raced as the figure loomed closer, its breath like frost on her skin. "Then you will vanish into the void, and we will become the shadows you fear." Time seemed to freeze. All they had fought for hung suspended in uncertainty, teetering on the brink of oblivion. Would they risk all that they had left, or would they bear the burden of the shadows forever? As the darkness surged forward, Anna could feel the crisis point nearing, a moment that could redefine everything. "Together. We're together in this," Mark shouted, flooding her with warmth as the light flickered valiantly beside him. But would their combined love and grief be enough? Would it unravel the shadows, or bind them tighter than before? The answer hovered just out of reach, dangling like a thread ready to snap. Would they find salvation in this chaos, or would they fall forever into the abyss? Anna felt her resolve waver as the figure hovered in front of her, dark eyes locked on her very soul. The tension in the air was thick, a tangible dread that pressed against their chests. The chanting had dimmed, hope flickered like a dying candle. Each heartbeat echoed in her ears like a drum warning her of the end. "Fight it," Jessie pleaded, her voice resolute even as the shadows whirled dangerously close. "We have to stand our ground. We can't let them touch you." But how? Fear seeped into Anna's thoughts. The shadows twisted, stretching and bending as if dissecting her very essence. She wanted to reach out, to connect, but darkness grabbed hold of her mind. It pulled her into memories drenched in anguish, moments of pain that felt far too familiar. Anna Mark's voice broke through the turmoil. Desperation hung in the air as he took a step forward. "You can't let them take you. You're stronger than this." His words echoed a powerful truth, and for a fleeting moment, she believed him. The shadowy figure snarled, watching her as if savoring her struggles. "You think your bonds can save you?" It spat. "You think mere memories can spare you from the void?" The very ground quaked, a deep growl of anger reverberating beneath them. Anna could feel the energy shift like a tide receding before a storm. The shadows seemed restless, awaiting her fracture. She took a breath, shaky and shallow. "Tell me your story," she whispered, her voice barely rising above the chaos. More than just words slipped from her lips. It was a plea. I want to understand. I want to hear you, to help you. The figure recoiled, the faces of countless empty eyes turning in towards her, momentarily mesmerized by her courage, or was it madness? A flicker of something reminiscent of hope flickered in the abyss, and for a heartbeat, Anna thought she saw a shadowed face soften. Story, it echoed, scraps of echoes laced with bitterness. You think stories change anything? You're wrong. Stories are forgotten, just like the ones we lived fading into shadows like us. Then let me remember. Anna yelled, her voice rising like a beacon. Let me remember your pain. All the love, hurt, and loss, I'll keep it alive. You want to fade. Every inch of her body vibrated with the weight of her promise. It felt like standing bravely on the edge of a cliff, looking down into the depths. For that one moment, hope and desperation intertwined, creating raw energy that pushed against the darkness. The shadows seemed to pause, a moment of hesitation swirling in the air, but it was short-lived. The figure shrieked, a sound that clawed at her insides, ripping through her resolve. You dare to remember what is better left forgotten. We are the nightmares you cannot escape. Anna clenched her fists, a determination blooming within her. Then let me carry you. I'll speak your names, your truths. You don't have to vanish. No. The shadows roared, frustration building like a storm threatening to break. You cannot hold us. Suddenly, a rush of wind spiraled into them, echoing with the voices of those trapped, pulling Anna deeper into the vortex. The monument pulsed outward as the chant swelled again, Mark and Jesse's voices blending with hers. Together, we remember. The shadows surged, battling back against the wind, and Anna was swept off her feet, tumbling into a darkness she'd never anticipated, surrounded by memories that clawed at her heart. Anna! Jesse screamed, but the sound faded as she was drawn into a different realm, swallowed whole by the swirling shadows that eye in the darkness. The stories began to emerge vividly, threatening to drown her in their anguish. Faces twisted and lost stared back at her, each story unraveling painfully in her mind. I remember, she whispered, tears streaming down her cheeks. But suddenly, amidst the turmoil, an icy voice sliced through, cold and sharp. Remember, then. But it might lead you to the truth you're not ready to face. What truth? Anna struggled against the shadowy grasp, desperately searching for clarity as the myriad stories clawed for her attention. Each story weighed heavily upon her, a lineage of suffering binding her, yet a single thread of light tugged at the corner of her mind. Would she unravel the truth of the darkness surrounding them? Or would she become just another shadow trapped in its fabric? In that abyss, Anna felt her connection to reality slip away. She had ventured deeper than she ever could have imagined. Time stretched strangely, leaving only the echo of hope against the spine-chilling whispers of despair. And as shadows pressed closer, suffocating in their fury, a chilling thought broke through. What if the stories were never about saving the lost, but perhaps a deeper curse hidden within them? Would revealing the truth grant them peace, or would it unleash something far more sinister? The shadows roared, their echoes merging into a cataclysmic symphony. Anna gasped as the stories swirled around her like a maelstrom, each voice demanding to be heard, painful and poignant tales of love, loss, and vengeance. The air grew thick with despair, wrapping around her like a shroud. Was this how it felt to sink? Anna! Came a voice through the chaos, and she knew it was Mark. His presence shimmered in the darkness, a beacon she desperately clung to. We have to remember. Tears streamed down her cheeks as the whirlwind of memories threatened to pull her under. I am remembering, she exclaimed, her voice breaking through the chilling winds. Tell me what you need. Help me hold on to your stories. The shadows hesitated, forming and twisting in front of her, as if contemplating her words. Do you truly wish to remember? A voice hissed, striking the very core of her heart, sending waves of shuddering fear through her veins. You don't understand the weight of our burden. I do, Anna shouted, her resolve swelling like the tide. I have felt your pain, your heartache. But in remembering, we can find peace together. A moment of silence fell, and she felt a flicker of hope shrouded in doubt. The air crackled with tension as the relentless tide of shadows surged once more. You speak your truths, but we are forged in darkness. We do not want redemption. We want retribution. No. Anna cried out, her heart pounding wildly. No more suffering. You need to be set free. The words felt like fire in her throat, both desperate and determined. From the depths, she saw glimpses of familiar faces flickering like dying stars. A woman with sorrowful eyes, a child clutching a broken toy, an old man whispering of lost time. The stories begged for acknowledgement, for remembrance, but what ties could bind them to reality? Tell me. Anna shouted again, desperate, knowing the stakes. Every name you've lost. Every heartbeat that was silenced. With a collective gasp, the shadows shivered, almost withdrawing as if her plea struck a chord grounded in collective grief. You're brave, but brave souls fall, too. The voices warned, fluid in their dance, slipping like water through her fingers. But Anna pressed on. No, I can carry you. I can weave your stories into the fabric of hope rather than despair. With every tale you share, I will safeguard your existence, ensure you are not just shadows. The ground shook beneath her, the chasm widening, but Anna did not falter. Mark's hand gripped hers, their strength merging in unity. Jesse's voice rang out, bright as a sun breaking through the gloom. Fight back. We can't let this darkness take us. As if awoken by their connection, the shadows recoiled slightly. Names began blooming into existence, shimmering in the dark, moments flickering like hidden embers. Anna, Sarah, Eliza, George. They whispered, each name sparking life into lost yesterdays. See, Anna pressed, the fervor of belief igniting her spirit. You remember. You are alive in these tales. With a newfound clarity, the apparition's voices rose, unraveling the chains binding them to the dark abyss. One by one, names poured into the air like summer rain, mingling with the echoes of laughter, words of love, and the quiet resolution of lives once lived but now merely shadows. With every name, the chasm trembled less, shadows pulling back as if torn between oblivion and the light birthed from remembrance. You give power to what was lost. A voice, wavering with inexpressible hope, intermingled with the shadows. But what will it cost you? I'll pay, Anna whispered fiercely, if it brings you peace. She felt Mark's grip tighten, bolstering her will. Together, they shouted their promise, a tidal wave of defiance that sent ripples across the gathering storm. We will remember you. As the final name, a soft, plaintive Francis, tumbled from Anna's lips, a collective sigh washed through the void, the shadows swirling before them as if pulled into an unseen current. Light cascaded forth, illuminating the clearing around them. The graveyard stirred at its awakening. The silhouettes that had been chained emerged from the gloom, a soft radiance replacing the anger. They floated gently, whispering their thanks. Anna felt the weight lift from her chest. They had done it together. They had breathed life into the past, honored the memories, and faced the darkness collectively. The air felt lighter, but the chasm continued to hum with danger. The darkness shimmered one last time, embodying a rage that had not been quelled. You think you've won? It screamed, its voice rolling like thunder across the graveyard. You will pay for this trespass. With that, the shadows recoiled and surged forward, desperate to reclaim their hold, fury incarnate in its final stand. No, Anna shouted, pulling Mark and Jesse close. Never again. Drawing deep from the strength of their connection, she let out a feral shout. We will not fear you. With purpose born from collective struggle, the words pierced through the darkness, igniting a blaze of light that burst forth from the monument they had freed. The shadows screeched as they were enveloped, swept into the light, the names of the forgotten echoing through the night. In a flash, the tide turned. The chasm crumbled, swallowed by the radiance birthed from memories, casting out the darkness that had haunted these hills for too long. Anna crumpled, gasping, hands trembling from the weight of what they had faced. Mark and Jesse dropped beside her, their hearts pounding, relief washing over them like a wave. They found themselves in a quiet grove, the air still, the night filled with the sweet sound of realized peace. No longer haunted, they knew the way forward. Anna glanced up, and the moon hung high, casting a gentle glow across the ground. Whispering in the wind, she heard the echoes of the names they had claimed, and a joy swelled in her heart. Together, they had faced the darkness, and out of their bravery, a legacy was born. As the dawn approached, they rose, resolute companions bound not just by a chilling night, but by the light of the stories revived, ready to share them with a world that needed to remember. In the distance, the shadows trembled, but they no longer held power. This time, Anna would ensure they would not be forgotten. Now, as the sun bathed the Appalachian hills, a new day began, bright with the promise of renewal, a stark reminder that choices make all the difference. And for the ones lost in darkness, they would shine brighter than ever in the stories that would be shared, paving the way for redemption, healing, and light. What a ride! And as you reflect on this chilling journey through the Appalachian shadows, let this be a reminder to never forget the importance of remembrance, the power of unity, and the strength we share in facing our fears. But hold on. Before you go, you need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. And don't forget to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. It really makes a difference. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second. The stories we tell shape our world. Stand with us.